Hey, it's Soul with another video, and today we're going to talk about classic WoW and get into a subject that isn't being very widely talked about at the moment. At least not when it's compared to the unending debates on polish, quality of life, balance, and many other conversations. I want to talk about what Blizzard's handling of the World of Warcraft population has been like. The sentiment among players is that since the good old days of close community ties and social structures, WoW's in-game community has become this bad soup, stirred by quality of life features like the disgusting matchmaking and cross-realm technology, and these are further described mostly with hyperbole and memes. The hope is that classic WoW is a true return to its roots, like forget about the smelly horde and the awful alliance, forget about the origin of orcs. This is what made WoW great for so many players. But I'm a little skeptical that it'll be all roses and sunshine and fire resistance. Could history repeat itself? Is Classic WoW's community destined to turn out to be a fragmented mess like present WoW, or even worse, without supporting technology? I think there's a chance it would, despite a lack of expansions to help it along. Today's video is just an opinion and it's meant for discussion, so feel free to agree or disagree in a comment below. Before we get to my fear of what could happen in Classic WoW, let's take a brief trip down the road that present WoW, I call it present WoW, took. In 2004, the World of Warcraft opened up with a few dozen realms, and these realms eventually filled up. As time passed and the population swelled, Blizzard responded by opening up many more realms, and that number grew to the hundreds. So as WoW grew to its peak population of about 12 or so million across hundreds of realms and dozens of commercials, there was already a growing dilemma that no other MMO has had to deal with at this level before or since. Population shifts were happening all over the place, and there were a few noticeable trends. With a few exceptions, popular realms remained full while small realms became smaller. The reasons were understandable. Friends liked grouping with their friends. Many players liked being part of the popular realm because it was easier to find a group. Players took advantage of free transfer overflows, which was offset by paid realm transfers taking their place. Finally, after reaching WoW's peak subscriber count, the population began to contract. Blizzard knew all of this was going to happen as soon as they saw the incredible growth since WoW's launch and during the Burning Crusade expansion. They must have been gathered up in a room and thought that when WoW's population was going to decline and it was a question of when, not if, there were two approaches to help make this decline as painless as possible. One was to do nothing, let the realms work things out on their own naturally, let players re-roll or rake in the cash from all those realm transfers. Inevitably, there'd be dead realms. But should they be maintained even if only a few dozen players squatted on these realms, either holding out hope or just liking to be on an empty realm? The endgame in this scenario is that the realm closes, and all active and inactive characters are put in some sort of limbo or they're shoved off somewhere else. Blizzard didn't go that route though, either because they didn't want to or they didn't have the connected realm technology that they had today. But to this day, they're determined to not shut down realms outright, instead dedicating to preserve the state of millions of characters, active and inactive. I think I can understand why. If characters were completely displaced, odds are reasonably good that these players will join the more popular and balanced looking realm, which can easily cause disruptions. If characters were forced into another realm, the problem is temporarily solved, but it's still pretty likely that this process would repeat itself again and again, given the scale of population Blizzard has to work with. And then there's the what if there's a big uptick, like during an expansion release and these fewer realms were now consistently full. That would be its own problem too. But I could be wrong about all of this. So an unwritten mandate was created in the face of questions and calls to merge realms. Blizzard will not shut down realms, and instead find ways to keep players connected even when their home realms were pretty much barren wastelands. This resulted in the technology behind Looking for Group, Raid Finder, cross-realm zones and grouping, connected realms, sharding, all your favorite things. Today we have a WoW shaped by an invisible and intrusive hand that keeps players connected and decides for us how the game is experienced through population control and temporary connections. On one hand, we can say that this was necessary to smooth or improve the WoW experience. Because all opinions aside, and I can't say this enough, the story of WoW's success is exceptional. It's enjoyed both growth and decline by the millions, and deals with this in every expansion launch like what other MMO does that. Introducing all this technology was the best idea that Blizzard had at the time for handling these millions of subscribers. Because again, the mandate was clear. They did not want to force players to be shoved around with the closure of realms, nor did they want the WoW experience to be one of helpless isolation when there are suddenly millions of subscribers. So they invented the tech to realize that. But on the other hand, we have this present WoW that not everyone is happy with. Group tools threaten to compromise the social experience. The tech behind sharding is fascinating, but it's imperfect. For some, this is tantamount to the antithesis of the old WoW community. For others, it's a realized dream, this virtual single realm per region. So what will the story of classic WoW be? What lessons were learned from this present WoW? And how should the inevitable population surge and decline be handled this time? First, there's just handling the players who will come into Classic WoW in the first few days and weeks. Depending on who you believe, there could be anywhere between 10,000 and tens of millions of players wanting to play Classic. It behooves Blizzard to predict, plan, and support that initial population as best as they can by having as many realms as needed. Assuming Classic WoW will be as original and pure of an experience it could be, there won't be any population-related features introduced except for realm transfers, which by the way had a 6-month cooldown at the time. So that's also going to mean no sharding, no dynamic mob spawning if a lot of players are on the same kill quest, no shared tagging, none of that stuff. It would also mean that realm caps would be the same as in 2004, even if larger caps are possible today. This and other similar pictures might look impressive, but unfortunately it is not the pristine Classic experience. No one likes queues, but no Classic purist would want this either. So maybe a year or so after Classic WoW's launch, the dust will settle, the content has been completed, or if Classic WoW launches as a progressive realm, players will be bumming around waiting for the next unlock. Some players will have realized by now that this version of the game just isn't for them. Others will define the description of the cyclical player who will play present WoW until they're bored, and then they'll switch to Classic and vice versa. And many players will be perfectly happy and will stay. Even Classic WoW's most fervent supporters agree that after an initial surge, there will be a huge drop-off of concurrent players because of the reasons I stated and then some. Just like the original World of Warcraft, it won't be easy to predict or plan for what'll happen with Classic WoW. If the current debates are of any indication, Classic WoW will not have the systems Blizzard developed over the years designed to adapt for the shifts and changes in WoW's population, be it a surge or a slump. Fortunately, one thing that Classic WoW does not have to worry about is the next big thing to look forward to. There is no expected surge or a slump. It's mostly a matter of how to deal with the rise and subsequent decline of the population and how to handle all of these separate realms. It's because of this that I think Blizzard will take the kind of more conservative route this time around and do almost nothing but have one system in place that they probably wish they had over a decade ago, which is connected realms. They've got to have some sort of oh shit button in place unless they want to have tens or dozens of dead realms. If my prediction is right, many years from now I can envision realms being connected over and over again until there are just 4 realms per region to suit the different playstyles, and that's it. Just like many years from now, as the population of present WoW dwindles down, the state of those realms will be similar. What humors me is that the technology Blizzard developed was designed for this very endgame situation. Thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe, and support the channel so I can keep talking about all things Warcraft. I'll see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.